Hello, my name is Kelsey, and I am the founder of Vibrant Yogi. We are an online yoga and wellness community built on giving back. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in October of 2018, and since then, I've really made it my mission to try and get women moving and connecting through kindness. So for every membership that is purchased, we always donate one back to a woman going through breast cancer. So if you know anybody who is in need of one, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And we're going to get started with our practice. So I encourage you to listen to your body. At any point, if something doesn't feel good, just bring it down a notch. You can always grab water at any point. You can make modifications. And I really just encourage you to follow your intuition with your movement. Okay, so we're going to get started on our back. And as we come into that position, if you've got any lower back issues, you can keep those knees bent, and that'll take some of that pressure out. Or you can have the legs long down your mat. Palms can be up to receive energy or down if you're needing a little bit more of a grounding practice today. As we start to close the eyes, we begin to invite stillness to wash over the body, and we start to notice the breath. So we just watch it travel in and out of the body, not doing anything quite yet to manipulate or to change that breath. Instead, we're really just trying to become aware of where we're coming to our mat from. So we're noticing if that breath is more short and shallow, or maybe it's a long and deep breath. Just allowing ourselves to become present in it. And when you're ready, let's start to draw our awareness to the very top of our head as we scan the body all the way down to the tips of our toes. And we're just trying to listen to all of the sensations that our body is sending to our brain. So we're noticing if there's areas that feel tight or tender. You might feel tingling or numbness. Start to notice the temperature variations. If your toes or your fingers are a little bit cooler than the core. And I also want you to try and get dialed in on any of those parts of the body that feel really, really good today. We also want to try and be aware of any limitations or injuries that the body has. And instead of meeting them with frustration or wishing they were different, let's try to see them as neutral and accept them as a part of our story and a part of what makes us who we truly are. Starting to bring that awareness back to the breath as we put some intention behind each inhale and behind each exhale, slowing down the breath and allowing our bodies to slip into that rest and repair state and out of that fight or flight state that so many of us spend a lot of our days in. So as we slow down that breath, we start to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, just allowing everything to soften and to unwind. Just taking a few more moments here to really soak up the stillness, the silence. And when you're ready, let's start to invite some subtle movement into the body, starting to wiggle the fingers and the toes, beginning to circle the ankles and the wrists. Let's start to get even bigger with our movements as we bend those knees. And we start to windshield wiper them softly from side to side, continuing to circle those wrists. As we inhale, bring the hands all the way up overhead, a soft bend in the elbows, a gentle curl in the fingers, just opening up that chest and that heart. Continuing to rock those knees softly from side to side. And if it feels good for you, allow the knees to fall all the way over to that right side, rolling onto the outer edge of the right foot, the inner edge of that left. Be mindful just to keep those feet active and flexed to help protect those knees. And on your next inhale, start to bring those knees back to center. And exhale, allow the knees to fall softly to the left side. Just continuing with those nice big breaths. As we start to draw the knees back to center. And let's hug the knees nice and tight into our chest, just allowing the palms to connect to the shins, gently rocking from side to side, giving ourselves a nice lower back massage. Starting to find that stillness at center, begin to extend those legs all the way up to the sky and point and flex those toes. Now, don't worry if you can't get those legs quite straight. It's fine to have a micro bend in the knee, but what I don't want to see is this. We invite so much tension into the neck and into the spine. We want to continue to try and encourage our tailbones down. Keep the neck, the shoulders grounded. And you can point and flex the toes here. You can circle the ankles. You can bend and straighten the legs just to subtly and slowly invite that space into the hamstrings. If it feels good for you, let's begin to externally rotate our feet. Bend the knees, taking the hands to the inner arches of our feet for our happy baby pose. Now, as you're in this pose, if you can't quite reach the soles of your feet, that's totally fine. You can reach for the shins. But you want to make sure that the soles of your feet are shining up to the sky. And you can rock gently from side to side, or you can stay perfectly still at center. And for me, what feels really, really nice here is to take my teeth fingers to my big toes. And I like to just straighten and bend those knees, inviting a little bit more movement into the body. And then let's start to bring the soles of feet all the way together for our supine butterfly pose. So we encourage the heels in towards the body. We push the knees away from the ears towards the bottom edge of our mat. And again, same thing with that spine here. We want to invite so much length into it, drawing the tailbone down, the shoulders away from the ears. The back of the head stays connected to the earth. Continuing with those nice big inhales and those nice big exhales. As we slowly start to draw those knees all the way back together, allow the soles of the feet just to connect back to the mat and step those legs long down your mat one by one. Pointing and flexing the toes a few times here, activating the quads and lengthening through the calves. Find a nice point with those toes as we bring the right knee into the chest in our supine wind removing position. Now this is a really, really good posture to help stimulate digestion. So we are massaging our ascending colon here. And you can stay exactly where you are, or you can gently rock the knee across the body and then open to the right. And that's just starting to lubricate that hip joint. Just being mindful not to go too far, listening to your bodies. As we bring that right knee all the way back into the chest, give it one more nice tight squeeze and send it long down our mat to meet the left as we bring the left knee into the chest. So this time we are massaging our descending colon. And you can stay exactly where you are. You can start to open the hip and close the hip. Starting to bring it into that left hip flexor a little bit, into the groin. Very nice. As we give that left knee one more nice tight squeeze, bring the right knee in to meet the left. And let's take our hands and tuck them just behind the thighs as we start to gently rock and roll ourselves up to a seated position. Now, if that does not feel good, you can roll over onto your side and then gently make your way back up. So anytime that you need to grab water throughout our class, please feel free. If at any point it becomes too much, like I said, just push back into your child's pose. You can always come back onto your back in Shavasana. We are going to get started. So sitting up nice and tall, close the eyes. Trying to grow through the crown of the head. As we inhale, draw the shoulders up to the ear. And exhale, shoulders fall. 2 more. Big inhale, shoulders come up. And exhale, shoulders fall. Last one, big breath in. And breathe out. Softly beginning to open up those eyes. Let's let our hands fall just beside our sit bones. As we inhale, bring that right arm all the way up to the sky. Exhale, tip over towards that left side. Now notice how as I'm doing this, my right booty is not lifting up. I'm keeping that right booty grounded, inviting so much length all the way down that right side of the body. We start to bring it all the way back up to center and exhale, that right hand meets the mat. Not rushing. Inhale, bring that left arm all the way up. And exhale, nice lean here. Again, being mindful with that left hip, keeping it glued to the mat. As we inhale, bring it all the way back up to center and exhale, lower. Now inhale, bring both palms all the way out to either side. Spread the palms really, really wide and start to squeeze the shoulder blades together, lifting the chin. Now imagine someone's put a pencil in between your shoulder blades and you're trying to hold that pencil there. And then slowly start to bring those hands together. Bring that right arm on top of the left. Give yourself a nice tight squeeze. Drop the elbows, tuck the chin. Now inhale, again, bring it nice and wide. Lift the chin, squeeze those shoulder blades together. And exhale, let's cross the left hand over the right this time, giving yourself a nice tight squeeze. Tuck the chin to chest. And inhale, bring it all the way back open, and those hands fall down to the mat. Let's extend those legs long out in front of us, showing me the bottoms of those feet. And I want you to try and get those legs as straight as you can. If you can't straighten the legs today, that's okay to have a little bit of a bend. But let's start to reach our fingertips all the way up to the sky as we hinge forward in our forward fold. So in this pose, a lot of the times I'll see people start to round through their spine like you're sitting at your computer desk. Nuh-uh. We want to hinge from the hips here, keeping that length in the spine. So if we can only reach our knees, perfect. As long as that spine is nice and straight, you'll feel so much length down the backs of the legs. And you can pull into the pose or you can melt into the pose, whatever feels best for you. As we take 2 big breaths here, so inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. 1 more big breath in and a big breath out as we start to walk those hands back in. Let's find our seated butterfly pose. So from here, we start to glue the soles of our feet together. And depending on the anatomy of your body, it might feel better for you to come into more of a diamond pose. So from my heels to my knees to my core, it creates a nice diamond, and you can hinge forward here. Otherwise, you can come into your butterfly pose where we squeeze those heels in towards the body. This brings it way more into the hips, into the groin, and we can allow those hands to connect to the outer edges of our feet or maybe the shins. And from here, we want to try and sit up really, really nice and tall if we've taken this option. And we can start to strengthen our hip flexors here by lifting and lowering our knees, really slow and controlled. It always scares me when I see people bouncing in this pose. They're going like, whoop, 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 because that is how you can overextend the hips. So go nice and slow, nice and controlled. And when you're all done, let's bring our hands to the outer edges of our knees as we bring them all the way back together. And you can just pedal it out nice and soft. Now from here, bring your legs into a nice wide leg straddle. You don't need to go super wide. As long as you feel a nice stretch through the inner thighs, toes are pointing up to the skies, knees are not rolling inwards. We want to keep the knees shining up to the skies. And let's take our hands just in front of us. For us, some of us, this might be as far as we are going to go, and that is totally fine. Otherwise, if you want to bring yourself into it a little bit deeper, you can start to walk the hands forward, continuing to invite that length into the spine. Keep the toes pointed up towards the sky. You might be able to drop the forearms down, but just take those nice deep breaths. And let's walk our hands over towards that right foot, trying to drop the belly button towards the thigh. And then back over to center. Let's walk it to the left side. Bring it all the way back and walk the hands in. Let's help those legs into a cross-leg position. As we shift the weight forward onto our knees, we'll just warm up our wrists a little bit here. So interlace all 10 fingers and start to circle the wrists to the right and then to the left. And then begin to push the palms away from the body. So as you're doing this, try not to hunch those shoulders up. Keep the neck nice and long. And then start to inhale, bring the palms all the way up to the sky. And you can gently just rock from side to side. Being mindful not to go too far, keeping the belly button drawn into the spine to help activate the core. And from here, just release those hands all the way down and shake it out. Okay, are we ready to get moving? Too bad, because we're going to anyways. So remember, if you do want to stay on your back for the remainder of your class, please feel free. Again, if anything becomes too much, no big deal. So we're going to start in our tabletop position. And in our tabletop position, we want our shoulders to be directly on top of our wrists and our knees to be directly underneath our hips. If I look back at my toes, I shouldn't be able to see them because they should be directly behind my knees. So it's all about those perfect angles again. Now take a big inhale, start to arch the back, look up towards the sky. And then as you exhale, start to lift through the shoulder blades, tuck the tailbone under, the chin goes into the chest. Very nice. Inhale, arch. And exhale, round. Let's do one more big inhale, arch. And exhale, round. Coming to a neutral spine, make sure that your toes are tucked, and let's start to lift our hips all the way down for our first down dog of the practice. So you want to look like a big upside down V. Your palms are shoulder width apart, middle fingers are facing forward, and we're trying to encourage our heels down towards the mat. And we can pedal it out here. So come high on your right toe and high on your left toe, just lengthening through the backs of the legs. And let's start to step our feet nice and close together. As we shift the weight into our left foot, inhale, the right leg comes all the way up to the sky. Come high on the left toe, and let's bring that right leg all the way through for our runner's lunge. So help it along if you need. And what you want to be mindful of is that that knee is directly on top of the foot and that our bums aren't super high up in the air. You might need to scooch that back foot out to try and drop the hips and lift the chest. Now here, you can always drop that back knee if you like in any of these runner's lunge poses. But from here, slowly start to lift the chest. Good. And lower the hands all the way back down. Let's do two more. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. Again, your option is to keep that back knee down if need be. As we inhale, we lift. We exhale, we lower. Now let's take the left hand to the inner arch of that right foot. As we inhale, we twist that right arm, comes all the way up to the sky. And exhale, lower it all the way back down. Adjust the left hand so it's underneath the shoulder. Now slowly start to bring that right leg all the way back, finding our down dog and just pedaling it out here. Good, we're gonna do that same thing on the other side as we continue to warm up our bodies. Inhale, bring the left leg all the way up, come high on the right toe. Left leg comes through, runner's lunge. So again, watch for those subtle things. We wanna make sure that our booties aren't really high. Knee is on top of that foot. And you can always drop that back knee down if you need. As we inhale, lift the arms. And exhale, hands come down. Two more, inhale and lift. Exhale, lower. Last one, big inhale and lift. And exhale, lower. Now bring that right hand to the inner arch of the left foot this time. As we inhale, we twist. That left arm goes all the way up to the sky. And exhale, bring it all the way back down. Plant those hands right underneath the shoulders. Step that left leg back, down dog. Pedaling it out here, high on the right toe, high on the left toe. As we inhale, start to come high on both toes. Lower the knees down to the mat, untuck the toes, and push back into your child's pose. So this is our recovery pose. This is where we can grab a quick sip of water. We breathe in and out through the nose, trying to slow that heart rate down. Woo-wee. One more big breath in. And slowly, let's start to shift it forward back into our tabletop position. Now from here, begin to shift the weight into that left knee as we extend the right leg out behind us. Now you can stay exactly where you are, or you can start to shift the weight into your right palm. Extend the left hand out. Woo! Channeling that balance. So we call this our full pointer pose. I'm imagining that someone's got my fingers by a string and my toes by a string, and they are pulling me, pulling me, pulling me. And as I exhale, let's start to crunch our knee towards our elbow. And inhale, extend. Exhale, let's crunch. And inhale, extend. Now from here, slowly bend that back knee and try and circle that left hand around, finding the toe. Now if you're nowhere near finding that toe, no big deal. You can always drop that back hand, that front hand, and keep that knee nice and bent. Holding for 3, breathing for 2, and release back into that full pointer pose before that hand comes down, the knee comes down, and we gently just rock those hips from side to side, resetting. Now let's do that same thing on the other side. So shift the weight into your right knee. The left leg extends behind us. Now that might be far enough for you, or you can start to shift the weight into your left palm. Right hand comes out, full pointer pose. So someone's pulling your fingers by a string, they're pulling your toes by a string. We inhale, we reach. Exhale, crunch. Good. Inhale, extend. And exhale, crunch. Let's do one more because it feels so darn good. Inhale, reach. And exhale, crunch. Now inhale, just reach here, and you can start to bend that top knee. Try to circle that hand around, finding the foot. Powering up, breathing. Opening through the heart. Holding for 3, 2, and 1. Release into our full pointer pose. Hand comes down for our half pointer pose, and then drop that knee. Gently just rocking those hips from side to side. Now from here, tuck those toes as we lift the hips, finding our down dog, pedaling it out here high on our right toe and high on our left toe. As we start to tiptoe our toes all the way up to the top of our mat, finding ourselves in our forward fold. Now don't worry here if you can't keep those legs perfectly straight. You can always keep a micro bend in the knees if that feels good for you. But we want to take big breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. And so anytime we can get our head below our heart, we call it an inversion. And this is super, super good to help get that blood flowing, to improve that circulation. So just give yourself a minute to hang out here. As we start to bend through our knees quite a bit here, let's ragdoll ourselves up vertebrae by vertebrae. So let the head hang heavy, the fingers hang heavy, rolling up nice and slow, nice and slow, nice and slow, until we bring those shoulders up, back, and down. And you can shake it out. Woo! Grabbing a quick sip of water if you like. We're going to come into a balancing pose here. So you can always use a wall, a husband, a wife, a dog, for a little bit more stability. But let's bring our hands to our hips and give me a little wave with those toes. Say, hello, Kelsey. And from here, come high on your right toe. Notice how my knee is facing forwards to begin with. Let's open up that gate towards the right side. Now you can stay here, exactly where we are, or you can start to bring that right foot to the inner calf or all the way up past the knee. We want to avoid that knee to our inner thigh. And I want you to be mindful of those hips, that we're not lifting that right hip up. Our hips stay squared. Now, if you fall out of this pose, no big deal. Just bring yourself back into it, or bring it down a notch if we push too far. But from here, really root down through that left foot. Connect to your breath. And I want you to try closing one eye. Okay, so we got one eye. We're doing good. We're doing good. Can you close the other eye? Oh gosh, every time I do it, I almost fail. So, don't cheat, close your eyes. And then start to open them back up. Very nice. Now you can stay exactly where we are, or if you want to challenge yourself more, start to bring those palms all the way up to the sky. And as I'm doing this, I'm not sticking my booty out, I'm not arching my back. I'm trying to keep my tailbone tucked under, my shoulders are down, my fingers are radiating so much energy up towards the sky, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, start to bring those hands all the way back down to the hips. Now from here, bring that right knee out in front, flex that foot. I'll show you from a different angle here. So we're here, we're trying to keep that knee nice and high as we start to extend that leg, staying nice and tall. Start to pendulum yourself forward so that right leg swings through. We begin to drop the chest, lift the right leg for our warrior 3. So as you're here, you can have a little bit of a bend in that left knee if it feels better for you. You can also extend those arms all the way out in front, or you can keep the hands at the hips. We're holding here for 3, for 2, for 1. Start to drop that foot, lift the chest, and pedal it out. Nice work. Shake it, shake it. You guys ready for the other side? Too bad, because we're doing it anyways. So from here, hands come to the hips, say hello with your toes, and start to bend that left knee. Notice again, knee is facing forward to begin with, and then we open it up. Now that foot can stay exactly where it is, or we can bring it to the calf, or hop past the knee to the inner thigh. Keep that left hip down, we're not lifting those hips. Good. Now focus here, root down through that right foot. Continue to take those nice big breaths. Okay, are we ready for it? Can we close one eye? Close the other. Don't cheat. The yoga police will totally bust you. Keep those eyes closed for 3, 2, 1. Open them back up. Nice work. Now, if you want to stay where you are, please feel free. Otherwise, let's bring those palms all the way up to the sky. Shoulders are staying down. Tailbone is tucked under. Belly button is drawn into the spine. Holding here for 3, for 2, for 1. Start to bring those hands all the way back down to the hips. Encourage that left knee out in front. Flex that foot. Good. Now, don't lean back. None of this, right? We want to keep nice and lifted. Now start to extend that left leg, working that left quad. As we start to pendulum, that left leg goes back. The chest drops. A little bit of a bend in that right knee. Good. Now again, you can extend those arms all the way out in front, or keep the hands to the hips in our warrior 3, holding for 3, for 2, for 1. Start to lift the chest, lower the legs, and just pedal it out, shake it out. Nice work. So let's move to the back of our mat. In our Tadasana, our mountain pose. Bring those hands all the way up to the sky. Option to take a back bend if it feels good for you today. And then start to melt forward into that forward fold. Now inhale, take a half lift, flat back, draw the belly button into the spine. And let's step it all the way out into our plank pose. In our plank pose, you always have the option to drop those knees or to come to your forearms if it's too much on your wrists. But let's inhale, lift that right leg and hold. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift that left leg and hold. And exhale, lower. Good. Inhale, lift both legs. I'm totally messing with you. Sorry. Now let's lower those knees all the way down to the mat. Untuck the toes and push those hips all the way back into our child's pose. Now, it might feel good for you to keep those knees nice and close together, or you can open those knees really nice and wide for our wide leg child's pose. Hands down, one of my favorite poses. As we begin to walk our fingertips over towards the right side of the mat, feeling so much length all the way down the left side of the body. Continuing to slow down that heart rate, breathing in and out through the nose. As we walk the fingertips back to center and over to that left side. Making sure that we're not sticking our booties up in the air. We want our heels to be our glutes to be grazing our heels. As we walk those fingertips all the way back to center Let's walk it in nice and slow, cross at the ankles, and shift it back into a cross-legged position. Now from here, let's just take our knees out in front, feet out in front, and our feet are about hip-width apart with that soft bend in our knees. Now from here, bring your palms out in front of you, your arms are parallel to the mat, and like I said, your palms are facing up. If I were to push down on your palms, they would not go anywhere because you are squeezing those triceps so darn hard. Now really grow through the crown of the head, scoop that belly button into the spine to activate the core, and let's start to lean back nice and slow. And notice how as I'm doing this, I'm not giving her one of these, right? I'm not rounding through the spine. I'm keeping so much length in that back. The shoulders are drawn back, and I'm using my core, continuing to breathe here. Now you can stay exactly where you are, or you can start to hover that right shin parallel to the earth and lower it back down. Other leg, hover that left shin and lower it down. Are you ready for it? You want to go for both? Hover both for 3, for 2, for 1, and sit it back up. Now let's take our peace fingers, bring your heels nice and close into your belly, and you're going to bring your peace fingers to your big toes. Now you're going to lean back just a little bit and try and find that sweet spot where you can balance. If this is not even happening today, you can come back down into your butterfly or into your diamond pose like we did at the beginning of class. Otherwise, if you want to challenge yourself, you can begin to slowly kick those heels up, working to extend those legs, finding that sweet spot. So again, if you roll out of this pose, no big deal, just bring yourself back into it. Continuing to hold the pose, don't hold your breath or else you'll pass out, and that would be super awkward. Holding here for 5, for 4, I heard this rumor that if you smile while you do this, it sucks a little bit less. For 3, for 2, and 1. Slowly start to bring it all the way back down into that seated butterfly pose. And you can gently lift and lower those knees. Nice work. See, this isn't so bad. You're doing amazing. Now from here, let's slowly make our way onto our back. So you can do it as gracefully as you like. Just finding a nice comfortable position here. Those knees can be bent or the legs can be long down your mat, whatever feels best for you. As we close our eyes and we invite the body to find that stillness, we start to let go of any of those distractions and we allow ourselves just a moment here to reflect on our practice and why we got to our mats today. So often we take our body's ability to move for granted. And for a lot of us, it takes the threat of almost losing that to kick us into high gear. So I encourage you just to take this moment every single day to appreciate your body's ability to move and the fact that you were able to make it to your practice today. We start to settle back into our own natural rhythm of breath. Just scanning the body again from the very top of the head down to the tips of our toes. And we're just noticing if the body feels any different from the first scan that we did at the beginning of the class. That energy might be flowing a little bit more freely. Those joints, those ligaments might feel a little bit more mobile. The energy might feel a little bit lighter. As we just take this moment to soak it all in. Let's begin to draw our hands to heart center as we encourage our thumbs into our sternum. Just taking this opportunity to thank all of the circumstances that brought us to our mats today. And for me, to each and every one of you, thank you all so much for allowing me to hold space for you as you came through your practice. Namaste. So I hope that you had an absolute blast moving with me. If you loved my jokes, I'm here all night. There's more where that came from. If you want to connect to the Vibrant Yogi community, you can always check us out online at vibrantyogi.ca, or you can check out my Instagram at vibrant.yogi. Thank you guys again so much for moving with me today. I am beyond grateful to connect with you, and I hope you all have an incredible day. See you soon.